And welcome back to another episode of the Screen Addicts podcast. I am one of your hosts, Chris TV Villegas.
I am Cinema Steve Pool Sosa.
Oh, Steve Poole, man, get off the train already, bro.
Dude, everybody's on that train right
No,
now.
it wasn't that great. We'll get into
Man,
it though.
we are apparently we will. We're getting into it now.
No, but this is what we will be talking about. We don't do many movie review shows, but this one probably being the biggest hit of the summer, we decided, hey, it's time for another Screen Addicts movie review, and that's what our main topic will be tonight. Steven, I know you've watched it. Let's just tease it a little bit. Tease a little bit of what we're going to be getting into with Deadpool and Wolverine. Did you like it? Was it amazing? What do you got?
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was definitely amazing, and it delivered on everything that it set out to do.
Okay. Me, on the other hand, I was less than impressed. It was a fun watch. I'm gonna leave it at that, and we'll get into it later. But before we get all into Deadpool and Wolverine's throws, we're gonna go into our first segment as always, and that is the recently watched. And Steven, do you want to start recently watched, or do you want me to?
No, I'll go ahead and knock it out real quick.
Okay.
I, aside from the movie that we will be discussing this week, Deadpool and Wolverine, watched that. Packed house. Love that. Get into that a little bit more. But what I didn't get to talk about last week, because we were off last week, was the release of Twisters. I got to see Twisters. And apparently I messed up by not going to watch it in 4DX, man, because everybody was raving about 4DX. And I was watching the TikToks and I'm thinking, damn it, that looked like a lot of fun. And that whole 4DX gimmick, it just doesn't appeal to me personally, because I'm kind of a snobbish cinephile where I don't want my art to be distracted by getting spritzed by water hoses and shaken in like those little mall roller coaster virtual rides.
For a movie like Twisters or Twister, like if it ever went back, like those are the only type of movies that I see work in 4DX.
I absolutely agree. And that's why I was saying I felt like I made a big mistake. And, me and my son Connor, we were going to go and watch it because we watched the 2D version. Twister is actually one of his favorite movies. He's a big fan of the natural disaster genre. He loves all those movies. So he was pretty hyped for this one. And we both came out of there more than impressed with the film. I actually, to speak on the movie first, I thought it was really good. I thought it was funny. It was entertaining. The special effects were pretty good. I think that it was anchored very well by Daisy Edgar Jones and Glenn Powell, who are having quite the summer for themselves. And I thought that the plot was pretty close to the original, but it just designated its own path. It set its own Dorothy out into the world, if you will. And I really enjoyed the movie, but again, that 4DX, me and Connor left the theater saying, "Man, we kind of messed up." I'm like, "All right, we'll come back and we'll go see it in a 4DX version." And so when we were looking at the times, it was out in one weekend. It was already out because Deadpool and Wolverine came in the next weekend and took the entire screen. And I thought, damn, I guess that's true because there's only one 4DX theater in this area. There's not even one on the.
You have one. We don't even have one here.
Yeah, exactly. Like some places don't even have that option. They'll have the IMAX versions, but not the 4DX. So I thought, man, the turnaround for that is very, very quick. So if you happen to be in an area that does have a 4DX theater, be sure that you get in and out of there quick because those movies rotate pretty quickly.
Weekly.
I mean, it was like
more than likely,
weekly, exactly. And I saw, I was saying, man, I bet the majority of Twister's success came from those 4DX tickets because they were all sold out. We actually went to go during the week and I said, son, there's no seats left. They're all sold out. Every single 4DX seat is sold out day and night. And I thought, well, it has to come back. It'll come back because there's money to be made there. But again, the movie on itself, Twisters, it was super entertaining. I actually watched this movie on Hulu And this movie called Freelance, and it stars John Cena and Allison Brie, two people I happen to really like watching. I love Allison Brie, like crush love Allison Brie, and John
Oh yeah.
Cena. I mean, of course, I'm a big wrestling guy. I mean, I'm not like
You
a wrestling guy personally, Chris. I'm a big wrestling fan, is what I should have said.
you
I don't
crush
think
love John Cena too. Don't lie.
right. Crush. But this movie was lauded, and this movie has, I think, the lowest rating on Rotten Tomatoes for any release in the last year, probably the last few years, because I think it's sitting at maybe a 0 to 5% on Rotten Tomatoes. So I was like,
Oh my
wow,
god.
this is a notorious bomb. And it wasn't in the theaters, I don't even think, for more than a week. And it did terrible business. And I just had to see this for myself. I was like, okay, what's wrong with this? Like, what was so bad about it? And you know what? I thought it was fine. I didn't think it was the greatest movie by any means, but I thought it was a nice hour and a half long, action comedy. And like I said, it wasn't the funniest, but yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't really recommend it to anybody. But again, 5%, 0%, no. There's definitely worse movies to be seen there. I watched a couple of things. We started Cobra Kai, and we're doing the slow burn on that one, man. We have to, because there's only 5
Yeah.
episodes in this first part, so we're
Ooh.
just kind of taking it one episode at a time. We're not rushing through it. I think it's really good so far. We're on episode 4, and I'm like, God, but you want to just
You only
go
got
through
one
it.
more.
I know, it's like we want to go through it because it's easy to watch. There's like 30 to 40-minute episodes. Like, that's our sweet spot. So
Yeah.
it's difficult to not want to push forward with the show, but we so far so good. I think it's setting up to be a pretty good season. I think Peter said there was like 15 episodes on this particular
Total,
season. So
total,
yeah,
yeah, with all 3 parts.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that's pretty good. I watched the conclusion to Presumed Innocent on Apple Plus, the Jake Gyllenhaal lawyer film, where he's a high profile district attorney that's accused of murdering his partner, his office partner, and lover. And so it turns
Mhm.
out to be this twist. And like I was saying, it was a remake of the 1990 Presumed Innocent with Harrison Ford. And I said, you know what? I hope that it has at least a different ending, because I already know what's going to happen if they base it exactly off of the 1990 original. And I guess the book that it's, inspired by. And I will say that the ending was really good. Didn't see it. So they switched it up a bit, which I was happy about because it felt fresh to me to watch it that way. And 8 episodes, so that's pretty quick.
Oh yeah.
Started Taika Waititi's Time Bandits on Apple Plus as well. The Lisa Kudrow show that she's on, where it's
Mhm.
a remake of the Monty Python's Terry Gilliam film from the 80s, a cult classic Time Bandits film. If that's like a good family film too. Like, I think the original Time Bandits is just such a funny, weird, goofy ass movie that I think gets overlooked by something like The Princess Bride or something. But I think Time Bandits so far, it's just a charm factory, and I am really enjoying it. And finally, I watched this documentary series on Peacock, and it's the Bronx Zoo 1990, the chaos in baseball. And it was talking about the 1990s New York Yankees. And
Mhm.
damn, I was like, you see the Yankees in such higher prestige there in the late 90s, when Jeter came in, Andy Pettit, all those guys they were starting to just clear them out. And then they started just buying all the players, winning these championships and stuff. But that year, 1990, man, the Bronx Zoo, that it was crazy. Forgot Don Mattingly was in that lineup, and
Yeah.
he's like the only good wholesome baseball player, just in the middle of all these just terrible people. One guy, I forgot, was it Mel Hall, Mel Smith, something like that. He was like 24, 25, and he was literally having a relationship with a 15-year-old girl. And
Oh
I
man.
was like blown away by that. I was like, wow, that is crazy. And not only was he having a relationship with her, he moved into her house, lived with her, and not only lived with her, but his parents, or I'm sorry, her parents gave up the master bedroom for them to stay in, and they took her room. I was like, what the hell is going on here? This is sick. This is crazy. And that's really the only reason why he didn't get charged, because if the parents don't press charges, they're almost like condoning the situation, and they are the
Mhm.
ones that are are giving their approval. So it's like, well, the parents don't object to this, so then there's not really anything we can do about it unless the girl feels like she's in danger. And some 14-year-old girl, like, or 15-year-old girl, she's living the high life. He's bringing her to the Yankees parties, and dude, he took a picture with her at her prom. It was like her junior prom, and they have a picture together, right? And apparently, this is the last thing I'll share, but this shit was crazy. Apparently, every year the New York Yankees baseball team, like I guess their marketing department puts together a little yearbook, just like anybody at high school, like a high school yearbook for the Yankees. Like it shows all their stats, their accomplishments, and there's a friends and family section, right, where the other Yankees are with their wives and legal girlfriends, and they put that picture of them together from the prom in the Yankee yearbook. I was just like, wow, that's some sick shit. And I don't know. It was absolutely crazy. And not to mention all the corruption with Steinbrenner. And, dude, it was really good. I think I really got through it so fast because there's only 3 episodes. It's 40 minutes a piece. And it's just an easy watch. And just like all the shit going on. And those are just two of the players that they were talking about. But I definitely, even if you don't like baseball, but if you like true crime, corruption stories like that, man, The Bronx Zoo, 1990, that is definitely one to watch. It's on Peacock. And Chris, that is all I have, my man.
Well, damn, can you take a breath a little bit? Jesus,
It's like when
brother.
Jim Carrey, soccer style kicker, like Ace Ventura style. Sorry, man.
Like, you went straight on for 30 minutes just now. I just want you to know.
I was paced, baby. That also reminds me. I did watch The Mask. I rewatched The Mask.
There we go. Keep going.
Yeah, I forgot. It's 30th anniversary, dude. Can you believe that? I mean, I guess you can because you had the Jim Carrey trifecta on your 1994 movie list. So,
I sure did.
But yeah, The Mask. I've got to say something about that movie. The visual effects. I know you do. The visual effects hold up so well, man. That I was kind of blown away by that. I was like, damn, why doesn't CGI look this good now? It's almost embarrassing. But yeah,
because they tried too hard now.
Yeah, I guess that's
what
true.
it is.
That's true. But yeah, The Mask, that's it. I promise.
I'm giving you a little bit of a pause just in case there's something else I don't want to interrupt you.
Let me grab my puffer real quick.
Well, as always, my list is not near as long as Steven's. I did go to the theater a couple times, not just to watch Deadpool and Wolverine. I also watched Longlegs. Dude, that is one creepy ass movie, bro. and we went to go watch it on Steven's recommendation when he said he watched it. And when we going into this movie, I told Tasha, I was like, well, Steven said it's not that much of a horror movie. It's more a dramatic movie. No, it's pretty fucking horror, bro.
I said psychological thriller. Psychological thriller.
You took horror out of it, and to me, that was horror.
I guess that's true. I mean, if I was looking at it through Chris lenses, then...
Yes, dude. And normally I'm okay. I'm okay with a little bit of horror. It's fine until you get into like religious horror. Then I freak the fuck out. And then when this one started dealing with nuns and Satan and shit, I was like, nope. And then, oh man, Nicolas Cage, like. Tasha's sitting in the theater. She's like, is that him? I was like, yeah, that's him. She goes, if you wouldn't have told me, I would have never have known.
Yeah.
But he played a hell of a role. It was really, really good. So if you have not watched Longlegs and are kind of a horror fanatic, definitely go watch this one in the theater. It's good in the theater. Then my show started, bro. My show started. Big Brother.
Oh, here we go.
And let me tell you, okay, normally when the show starts, me and Tasha can pick one or two players, kind of like you do in Survivor. When you first get to meet them, you're like, oh, I really like this guy, or I really like this girl. This season, it's horrible. These are bad players, I think, because there's not one that kind of just stands out and you're like, oh yeah, I hope they win. There is a 50-year-old lady on this season, and this lady has done just flipped her shit. She's going crazy. She has yelled at multiple other cast members, uh, started calling them names, and just put this huge ass target on her back. Which I don't know if it's strategy, because being, I guess, the reality game connoisseur that you are, right? If you put your target on your back towards the beginning, are you more likely not to get voted off because people want to keep you till the end because they know they won't vote for you at the end? Or do you vote this crazy son of a bitch out?
I think it could go both ways, because
Yeah.
I don't watch Big Brother, but I see that in terms of Survivor. It's very
Yeah.
similar, as you know. And I always tell Connor when we're watching it, and Sonia, I say, I want the worst people to be with me in the final tribal, because
Right.
whether they didn't, help at camp, or they were just shitty to everybody, they were too much of a liability, or they were liars. I don't know. I think it's almost a good thing to have at least one bad people. So with Big Brother, do they end up with 3 or 2? Is it similar
Two.
in okay, so yeah, I would most definitely want the
Right.
person that
So
disliked.
this may be her strategy then? Like, she hasn't really come out and said, or she just may be crazy, but I can see it, like you said, going both ways. Like,
Mhm.
let me be a bad person for a little while, so people are like, oh, I'm going to take them to the end because nobody will vote for them.
Right.
So I don't know. We'll see. Big Brother airs 3 times a week, so
Mhm.
we got to keep up
Damn.
with that crazy shit.
Is it 2 hours every week, every
No,
episode?
it's an hour
Oh,
each
okay.
episode, so it's 3 hours total a week. But
Okay.
still, you got to like dedicate 3 nights a week to this
Mhm.
show, which
Well,
is
it's like Dancing with the Stars, man. They're what, like
yeah,
2 2-hour episodes? Like,
yes,
shit, that's too much. Like,
yeah, for sure. I also started the last season of Vikings Valhalla,
Valhalla.
and it's picked up right where it's left off. Really, really good. I'm only a couple of episodes in, so uh, I'll update on that in a couple weeks.
Is that on Netflix, right?
It is on Netflix,
Okay, I
yes.
thought I saw that on the preview page.
Oh, and I have finally. It's taken me probably about a year, but I sat down and I binged the whole last 2 arcs of Demon Slayer,
Oh, nice.
and my God, it's so good, dude. It
Mhm.
is so good. The setting up for the final, like, big boss battle
Mhm.
that's coming, uh, which the way it ended this last arc. The last arc was a training arc, and Tanjiro goes through all these Hashiras to get better, training different styles, this and that, and at the end, of course, he's training with like the most powerful Hashira, and the main big bad guy comes and they start to fight, and then it just ends.
Huh. Like
Like
a cliffhanger or
they
something?
yeah,
Okay.
huge cliffhanger. It pissed me off. I was like, no. And I haven't looked up yet. I haven't seen when the final season comes out or anything, but man, it is good. I think you and Connor have watched it, not watched it.
Connor has. He
Connor
lapped me,
has.
man. I just was in
Yeah.
the first season, and I couldn't even catch up with him. But yeah, he loves it. He loves the movies
Uh,
too.
oh, the movies are great.
Mhm.
And everything ties in together. So, I mean, I guess I'll have to get Connor on here one day and we have to talk some
Oh,
anime.
and to tie in things with Cole Young from Mortal Kombat, the movie, he appreciates your digital birthday card you sent.
That's right.
Oh my
I
god.
sent him that same one last year, and I'm going to send him
It's
the same one every year.
He was just sitting there. We were waiting to play this Survivor charades game, and because his party theme was Survivor, and
Mhm.
we were all just kind of waiting there, and he just goes, "Oh my god!" And I'm like, "Dude, are you okay?" He's like, "No, Chris ruined my birthday." I was like, "Did he send you something, Cole Young?" He's like, "Yes." It was pretty hilarious.
Oh,
He is
man.
in Mortal Kombat 2, right? I think he is.
Yeah,
Like, he's
he
the main
is.
character. Oh my god.
He's oh, yeah. And, dude, what I'm gonna do when that movie comes out, I'm flying to Florida, and I'm buying Connor a ticket, and we're going to watch it together.
40X.
That's right. So he can feel Cole Young brush up against him.
His metal arms bash his dome.
That'll be perfect.
That's hilarious.
Oh, man. But I think that is all on my recently watched. I know we got a couple of headlines
Mhm.
that will kind of tie into our main topic. Then we'll get to it. Stephen, what do we have for headlines?
So for headlines, we actually have only three because we're
Okay.
pretty much cutting into the main topic. But the first one I wanted to talk about, not associated with the main topic, was the passing of Bob Newhart. Now, Bob Newhart's a very interesting individual, especially when we look at the age range of our listeners.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think anybody younger than us might have a sense of who Bob Newhart was, but he was a popular television actor. I think he started out as a comedian way, way, way back in time. And
Way.
he had two shows. One was the Bob Newhart show, and then
Mhm.
he also was in Newhart. Now, I will say that he did something in the season finale of Newhart that had never been done before. At the time, well, it's actually does kind of tie into Deadpool and Wolverine. He technically had the first crossover episode because what he ended up doing for the series finale of Newhart, the newer show, it was like all a dream, and he wakes up back in the season of his original show, the Bob Newhart show, with his original wife, and the actress came back to do it, and she says, "Are you okay, Bob?" And he's like, "Yeah, I just had this really weird dream. Like, I had a different wife, and I was a postman. Like, this is just really bizarre." And I mean, can you imagine audiences seeing something like that? They must have been
Yeah.
blown away. They must have been so confused at this high concept level of comedy and storytelling that, I mean, nowadays, I actually like the fact that you don't have to explain variants and multiverses and multi-dimensions.
Yeah.
But, because, I even in high school, I remembered reading, you know, Crisis in Infinite Earths or something. It was trying to explain to
Right.
people, they're like, "Why does Batman look like that?" I'm like, "Oh, this isn't Batman from
As we know
the
him.
as we know. This is a different Earth Batman." They're like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, there's like multiple Earths in the galaxy." They're like, "No, there's only one Earth." I'm like, "Damn it, you're dumb. It's a science fiction." And so, but now
Go
people,
watch The Matrix and you'll understand.
right? So it's like multidimensional storytelling is so much easier to grasp. But in the Bob Newhart show, probably not so much. And I actually urge people to go and watch because that clip is on YouTube. The season
Mhm.
finale of Newhart is on YouTube where it takes him back to the Bob Newhart show, which I thought, oh my God, that is absolutely insanely brilliant. And to do that so early on, in just like a random sitcom, it's pretty crazy. But yeah, Bob Newhart.
Is he the one that was Newhart the show where he was all my brother Dale and my other brother Dale?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. And then
That's the only thing I know about that
right.
show.
Well, and I think the Bob Newhart, because I'm getting them both confused because I didn't watch them. My mom, of course, loved them. I'm sure your
Hmm.
parents loved them.
Oh yeah.
Our parents loved the Bob Newhart shows.
Yes.
So I think one of them he's a postman, and in another one he lived in a hotel lodge, like worked as a hotel lodge man or something like that. I know I'm gravely describing this 50-year-old show, but and I just vaguely remember stuff like that. But yeah, as far as Bob Newhart, I think Bob Newhart, most people would recognize Bob Newhart as Buddy the Elf's adopted father in
There
Elf.
you go.
I think that is probably his most known role to any audiences younger than 30,
Yeah.
He's Bob Newhart is Buddy the Elf's adopted dad on the North Pole. So there you go.
Everybody's all like, I know that guy.
Right, the light bulbs just blew out some circuits, but that's Bob Newhart right there. So, unfortunately, he passed away. This we're talking high, and now he's dead.
Yeah.
Sorry, but yeah, Bob Newhart's passed away. There was some big news at Comic-Con this past week, Chris, and I mean, would you like to share the reveal of the
Oh,
new Doctor Doom?
the reveal heard around the world because Disney is desperate and they're losing money because all these box office bombs. What can we do to make money again? Oh, I know. Let's bring our golden boy back.
Mhm.
And Robert Downey Jr. was introduced as not Doomsday, Doctor Doom, shit, Doctor Doom, and everybody's going crazy. How can he be back? Da, da, da. I don't care how he's back as long as he's back.
Hmm.
It's horrible, man. Like, you could have casted so many other people for this. Not saying RDJ isn't good. He's an excellent actor. If he wasn't Iron Man for so damn long, I'd be all on board for this. But now you take away everything that he sacrificed, all like everything so this and that. Yes, I know there's variants now. They've introduced multiple timelines, so many this and that, but when it all boils down to it, you're seeing the same actor play a different role. Even though I don't know, there's comics written when Iron Man does crossover and become Doctor Doom. I think there's a couple storylines that have him doing this. So they have the written material there to go off of this storyline. I just don't like it. And bringing the Russo brothers back as well. I don't know, man. I'm not a fan. I'm, but you know, I'm Marvel's biggest fucking critic.
You are?
I am. I will hate on everything they do until I run out of breath. So, I don't know. What do you think, man?
I personally think it was an inspired choice. I like the decision to do that. I think that, I mean, why not? I do think it is. Well, okay. I'll start with agreeing with you about
Mm-hmm.
the desperation. 100%. You're 100% correct. There's no way that they would even talk about bringing the Russos back and RDJ back if they weren't in some form of desperation and they
Yeah.
needed them, because they do. And it's interesting to note that the Russos are tasked to doing both the Avengers Doomsday, which I hate the fact that they're using Doomsday because that's Superman's number one villain.
Mm-hmm.
So if James Gunn ever decides to go into the Doomsday canon, it's going to look like, oh, well, they're just copying Marvel
Copying
again,
it.
which
Yeah.
kind of pissed me off. I'm like, oh, you didn't have to say Doomsday. You could have just said Doom or something. But and then Secret Wars, which is the follow-up Avengers film, I guess they're going to be filming them for release in consecutive years, like
Yeah.
they did
So
with Infinity War and Endgame. Which,
yeah.
and I do appreciate the fact that they are bringing the Russos back, in the sense that they are bringing people back that have a good take on the material. Because my big argument that I've had with a lot of the decisions that Marvel and Disney has made about the MCU films and the Star Wars shows is that they're bringing in people who don't have a clear grasp of the source
Yeah.
material. Like, look at the Acolyte. Apparently,
Oh,
the actors had
so bad.
never really seen any Star Wars movies. Leslie Headland, who is the showrunner, had never done anything with science fiction or action before. She was, a writer of like rom-coms and some indie
Mm-hmm.
flicks. So I'm like, I get that they want to have like a certain sensibility, a different take on these kinds of things, but you can't have that different of a take. You have to have people that actually know what they're doing and know what they're talking about. And
Especially when you have such a huge fan base
right,
that knows the source material like the back of their damn hand,
right.
because there's so much that can go wrong with that, and these fan bases are essentially what keep you in business,
Mhm.
because they will pay whatever amount of money as long as you keep as close to the source material as possible.
Right. And if you
You know?
deviate away from it, at least make the product good. At
Yeah.
least make the changes worth note. And again, so I think bringing the Russos back is a necessity at this point as well. The RDJ thing is, yeah, it's very much like, well, we got to bring Iron Man back somehow. But I do like the fact that he is playing somebody different. I thought, oh, that's kind of interesting because he did say he would never play Iron Man again. He was
Right.
right. So it is a nice
Yeah.
little play.
Who
And
who let me ask you this. Who do you think would have made a better Doctor Doom?
I don't know. I'd have to think about because obviously, in my opinion, I'm not of the notion of casting people that have already played previous superheroes, whether or not
Mm,
they could be variants in another multiverse. But I like casting new actors, and I
yeah.
would have casted someone with some gravitas. And I mean, I don't know. You have to have somebody swap. I honestly think John Hamm would have been good
Ooh, yeah,
because John Hamm, in my opinion, can play anything. Like he's so good
absolutely.
at drama, at action, at comedy. The guy is so multi versatile that I could see John Hamm playing Doctor Doom. I don't know. He's just my first thought, but
I saw a lot of talk about why didn't they cast Cillian Murphy?
oh yeah, I could see that too.
Yeah. I had one meme that I did see out there was the Russo brothers saying, "Hey, go get that actor from Oppenheimer to come play Doctor Doom."
Yeah.
And then they brought RDJ. And they're like, "No, wrong one, damn it!"
And they bring Josh Hartnett. Hey, you know what? I would see Hartnett as Doctor Doom. That guy's having a resurgence now,
Oh,
anyway.
a little bit, yeah,
And I could see because you have to have somebody like Doctor Doom. I think Julian McMahon in the original Fantastic Four movies from Nip Tuck was a little
yeah,
too. I don't know. He was a little too handsome, too suave. Like Doctor Doom's got to be a little bit more battered and a little bit more brilliant
a
to
little more rugged, right?
right, a little beat up.
Like
Yeah.
like Cam
What the
Gigande.
hell? Have you made your pitch to the guy yet, Chris? I'm
Not
shocked.
yet.
Let's do it. I think if now's the time to bring Cam
Yeah.
Gigande onto the so even your dog's saying to
Yep.
stop talking about Cam
They're
Gigande.
they're all for it. They got
That's what yeah,
excited.
is one of them Cam, the other name Gigande, and you heard
Yes,
them, so
they
they're
are.
trying to get your attention. But no, I don't know. I think, like I said, I'd probably we should put that out there. Like if RDJ wasn't Doctor Doom, who would you have seen as a better? We'll put that up on our Screen Addicts Fanatics because that's a really good
Timothy
question.
Chalamet.
Dude, did you see that trailer for Complete Unknown, the new Bob Dylan
I do,
movie? It
yes.
looks so good.
It does really look
I'm
good.
really looking forward to seeing that. And I didn't realize James Mangold was the director, director of
Hmm.
Logan and Walk the Lines. I thought, oh my God,
This can be good.
this will be really good. But yeah, and final headline that I had here was tying right into Deadpool Wolverine, man. The box office numbers were no joke. Sixth highest opening in the history of film, $202 million at the box office.
Jeez.
Massive success. It's the highest grossing R-rated opening weekend, or the highest grossing opening for any R-rated film, and it's already looking like it's going to be on track to being the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time. And rightfully so, man.
That's
Do you
crazy.
know what's still the I think the Passion of the Christ is still the number one R-rated film of all time, and Deadpool's it might be number two. I'm pretty sure that's the case, but the
Oh,
way
I
that
thought it
these
was Basic Instinct.
you know, no matter how many times you just watched it on tape, that didn't count for
Oh,
the
okay.
box office numbers.
There was
But
a
yeah,
box on it. Damn it.
and in it. Oh, anyway,
Oh.
sorry. We damn it. Now I'm thinking of Sharon Stone. Way to go, man. I'm trying to stay professional, Chris.
Oh, sorry. I
But
apologize.
no, and then yeah, the highest grossing R-rated movie. Definitely, it's gonna happen. And man, every seat in the theater was completely filled up. And this is we
Oh,
saw
yeah.
it in the RPX, which is the IMAX version at the Regal. That's what they call
Mhm.
their IMAX screen. And anytime I go see a movie in there, it's never I haven't seen that many people in there, right? This was the first and only time I've ever seen it since it's open have that many people in there. It was absolutely packed. And it just yeah, massive success. Oh, what were you gonna say?
Yep. Nothing.
I mean, yeah. You know what I should have done? I should have taken my little Bob Barker microphone that attaches to my phone and asked people their thoughts of the movie. We
Oh
need to
yeah,
do that more, Chris. I think that would be
it
good because
would.
it really gets people engaged and I don't know if they'd
You
want to hear
should
themselves, but
wear your Screen Addict shirt to the movie and then just go
shh,
at it,
I
bro.
messed up. Damn it. Next time.
What's
Um
the next big opening?
uh
Wicked.
yeah, to wear my Ariana Grande shirt.
Yes.
But yeah, so I guess we can just get right into it then, don't you think? I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely. So, what we'll kind of do, just in case you haven't watched it, we'll briefly, just give an overview of it, non spoilers. Then we'll get into spoilers. Absolutely. Um, so, kind of like we started off the show, Steven, you loved it. It was everything you thought it was gonna be. Correct.
yes, sir.
Uh, me, man, it was all right.
Well, what were your expectations? Like personally, what were you expecting from this movie?
I Okay, to be honest, I will say this. I got out of it what I was expecting
Okay.
to get out of it. I was expecting a hilarious film, which it was. I was expecting a lot of action and a lot of gore, which it was. A lot of vulgarity, which there was.
Oh yeah.
Uh, and see, I didn't go into this movie thinking, oh, it's just going to be the greatest storytelling movie of Marvel history and it's going to get them back online and this and that.
Mhm.
It was a fun watch.
Okay.
But as people talk about it more and saying, oh, you hear over and over now that, oh, this is the best Marvel movie that has ever come out. This is the best superhero movie that has ever come out. I'm like, oh, whoa, 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 pump the brakes there, buddy. Like, it's a good film. It's a funny film. As far as being one of the best comic book movies, no, not even close to me.
Okay.
Um, just because it's a fan service movie. Like, and that's what it was meant to be. Like, bringing in the X-Men officially to the MCU, bringing in all these characters that we've seen in Fox coming into Marvel,
Mhm.
especially ones that you may have not seen that were supposed to be seen, but they didn't get seen, and old people, really old ass people that
Yeah.
you may have not thought about for a little while, they came back too.
Yeah.
So um, it was good for what it was supposed to be. People need to check themselves and realize you can have a very fun time at a movie and really love it, but to put it amongst like Dark Knight, Avengers Endgame,
Mm.
any of the Iron Mans, really, I don't think so.
This is one of those pivotal moments, like on Siskel and Ebert when they would review movies, and
Uh
one gave the thumbs down, one gave the thumbs up, and Siskel was a real bitch sometimes, man.
huh.
Well, I'm gonna be Siskel, and you couldn't be more wrong, Chris. No, but I do agree with a couple of those points in the sense that the plot, in my opinion, the plot almost seem pretty redundant, especially if you watch Loki,
Yeah.
because like the whole thing pretty much takes place within the TVA, the Time Variance Association, or the Time
hmm
Variance, whatever. And I mean that's basically Loki. Like he's on the Loki journey in season one of that show, and I thought, okay, well that's not really breaking new ground. I love Matthew McFadden was in it from Succession. I thought that was a nice, that was a clever surprise, but in terms of the plot, yeah, it is pretty one note. You know, you could say one universe by but then I don't know, there was a big loophole in that. But yeah, so basically Deadpool has to find a Wolverine to replace the one that died in Logan because he did in fact die. And
Hmm.
I thought that was a little weak. It also had the problem that early Marvel films had when establishing new villains. You remember like the early MCU films always had just one note villains that were in one film and that's it. You
Yeah.
never saw them again. This Cassandra Nova, the villain in this particular film, who is a twin sister of Professor X in that particular universe, who strangely looked just like James McAvoy.
Oh,
I thought, holy
real bad,
shit,
right?
like that is crazy that they're twins. I mean, she could be his real twin. But then I was like,
Hmm.
she's really pretty though. So I was like, that's weird. Do I think James McAvoy's really pretty? I don't know. I need to
James
take a look.
McAvoy is really
I
pretty.
know. I was like, maybe he is. But so then I'm watching this and then I mean we'll get into spoilers later, but then it's just like they could do something with her further, but then if they don't, it almost feels like those early Marvel movies where it's just one shot villains. And I'm like, no, you really want to establish this new timeline because Deadpool now, this should be a big crowning achievement. The fact that he's interjected himself into the MCU. I like how they played that as the main plot. He wants to be part of the
Yeah.
Avengers now. Like first he wanted to be part of
Hmm.
X-Men. They're old news. I want to be part of the Avengers now. And I think that's really I thought that was really interesting. I thought it was funny. Um all the meta jokes were great.
Yeah.
But before we get into spoilers, you know, again, I thought it was a lot of fun. But yeah, you're right. This movie won't sit up on the throne of The Dark Knight. It won't sit on the thrones of any of those types of movies because it's not that type of movie. I don't think that they had any intention of making this movie to be better in terms of cinematic quality than like those high prestige superhero films like Logan. I rewatched, Logan again and I did the black and white, the Logan noir version.
Oh,
For
the
some
better
reason,
version.
man, that movie just it is an art house piece, especially in
Yeah.
black and white. I was like, this movie is a work of art. It is so good. And this, but Deadpool isn't about that. It's just about fun. It's about goofiness. It's almost more like a comedy than it is. And I did think that there were some heartfelt moments in this, but I didn't think there were enough. I thought that they could have had a lot more emotional tie-ins with certain characters than they did. And I was like
Yeah.
a little disappointed with that. And I thought that their association with one another was interesting. Like they had a pretty good dynamic. I mean, they already are basically like best friends in real life. So it's easy to
Hmm.
play that and enemies, but overall, I really enjoyed it. As far as like my favorite Marvel movie, I would rank it up there because of how fun it was, but it's not better than Winter Soldier. It's not better than Civil War in terms of story, stuff like that. But on its own, I thought
But
it was a blast.
here's my question. Okay,
Mhm.
this movie is supposed to be everything what people expect from a Deadpool movie. Now that we've gotten to,
Mhm.
everybody's loved it, rated R now, and can kind of really let loose and have fun and be vulgar and be gory and be this and that. And everybody freaking loves it, right?
Mhm.
Is that not what Suicide Squad was supposed to be?
I
But
mean,
everybody tore that shit to pieces.
I yeah, I agree. Especially James Gunn's Suicide Squad.
James, and that's the only one I'm really kind of talking
Right?
about because
Poor
fuck
David
that
Ayer.
first one.
No, nobody
Yeah.
acknowledges that one anymore. I was watching Harley Quinn on HBO. I was starting to catch up on some of the seasons, and I'm like, yeah,
Hmm.
this fits more like the James Gunn Suicide Squad
Yeah.
than the David Ayer one. But yeah, I get what you mean. But you're right. I mean, that movie is exactly what I mean. Harley Quinn and herself is basically like female Deadpool.
Yeah.
And I think that it just didn't get I don't know. I guess people latch onto a particular character more than others, I suppose. And I don't know. It is weird to think that I guess in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Deadpool is that one like outlaw, that one cool character, the anti-hero, the one that, oh,
Hmm.
your parents won't like that character because he's so vulgar. You shouldn't be watching that. So of course that's the first thing a teenage kid's gonna do is go see Deadpool and
Right.
and stuff like that. But that is a good point.
And so yeah, I was just thinking about that like last night. I'm like, Suicide Squad had pretty much the same. Like, okay, I'll give it. It doesn't have the star quality as a Ryan Reynolds in a Deadpool, 100%. But you get the same quality esque of a movie. You have the funny parts, you have the vulgar parts, you have the action and gore, and not a lot of not a huge threat. I mean, it's a fucking big ass starfish that you're trying to kill or
Hey,
whatever,
Starro is an
like.
intergalactic beast. How dare you, sir?
So, the threat isn't huge like
Yeah.
in Deadpool. No, Nova wasn't, like, she was very powerful, and I think they
Mhm.
could have made her a bigger threat than what
Yeah.
they did. Absolutely, and it would be, I think, a little better story wise if, like you said, to continue her on. And I don't know, who knows? There's variants all over the fucking place now, so she may come back. Who knows?
Yeah.
But you know, it always goes back to, like I always tell you, like, man, I want my bad guys to be bad. I
Mhm.
want them to have, like, the I want my heroes to have an actual threat.
Mhm.
And that's what makes them heroes to me, is when you feel like they may not win. And again, it's nitpicking at this point. Absolutely, but it's a fun one.
You know
So
what I
I'm
like that you bring up Suicide Squad because it is very much exactly like you said. It has the same kind of qualities that Deadpool entails, like all the things. But the
hmm
one thing that Suicide Squad had that makes that a perfect movie, in my opinion, like the best superhero movie. It's easily top 5 all time. I love that movie. I watch it all the time, and it's because it has heart. It has heartfelt emotional scenes in it. People die in it and you care. People
hmm
are losing their lives and they care. And that's the emotive, like the emotional connective tissue that makes that movie work. And there's scenes in that movie that you just genuinely care about. You like seeing the camaraderie forming. You like seeing the
yeah.
team together. And if there's a betrayal, if you haven't seen Suicide Squad, I won't say anything, but then it really hurts. I was pissed when I watched
Yeah.
that movie. I was pissed at certain situations that transpired, but that's a point of a good movie. That's what makes a
hmm
good movie. That's what makes a good movie great. And I think with Deadpool and Wolverine, there weren't a lot of twists. I mean, I don't really think there are any twists when you think about it. The only thing that
No.
is shocking or surprising is the next cameo. And
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we could get into spoilers. We're already like
Yeah.
47 in,
And,
so
and what my okay, one more thing on this. you know, Separating the two between Suicide Squad and Deadpool, like you said, Suicide Squad, you have people that actually died.
mm,
That threat was there because they died.
yeah,
You'll never feel that way with Deadpool and Wolverine because they can't die.
right. You know,
I mean,
that's a great point too, man, because when they're fighting each other, every single scene that they fight each other, right? I said, well,
they
this
should
is
have
a
died 50 times
right. I'm
over.
like, well, this is a means to an end. Like, I don't really, it is cool seeing them physically interact like that, but then it's just,
hmm
like I said, it's a means to an end because they're going to cut up, chop up, whatever, and then they both regenerate. So I'm
Yeah.
thinking, I mean, it's kind of dumb when you pull it back like that, but I guess it's still just kind of cool to see them fighting each other.
Oh, it is. I mean, and that's one part of, like, why you love Deadpool, because he can go do the stupid shit like
hmm
this, and he'll always be there.
hmm
And I think, again, that's why Logan was such a masterpiece, because the way he ended, like,
hmm
you don't expect Wolverine to die,
Yeah.
and then he dies, and then you're like, oh shit.
hmm
Like, all the things, like all Hugh Jackman's, every movie he's played Wolverine in, it all comes to an end there.
hmm
And now you bring him back, and he's the Wolverine in the yellow suit, and he can never die again.
Yeah.
And I don't
I
know.
saw a meme the other day that said it had a picture of Hugh Jackman and Logan, like Wolverine and Logan at the end, and Tony
Mhm.
Stark at the end of Endgame, and it says Disney just wiped away the importance of these deaths. And I thought, man, that does sting a little bit in terms of like emotional quality, because but even then they should have known, like,
Yeah.
there's never an end to this. Like they can never end. I mean, Jackman's been playing it for 24 years, man. Like, that's crazy.
Dude, and okay, so we're in spoiler territory. We're
Yeah,
getting
do it.
into the more
Spoilers.
stuff. So, and I'm jumping already to the credit scenes.
Yeah.
Did you like when they were showing the behind the scenes of all the previous X-Men movies and
Hmm.
stuff like that? Oh my god, dude, I didn't realize it was so far back. They look so fucking young.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, holy shit, like we were teenagers
Hmm.
ish.
No, we were
18,
juniors
19.
in high school when X-Men came
Yeah.
out. It was in
Oh,
2000. Yeah.
yeah. I was like, damn, we are old. That made me feel bad.
Yeah.
But anyway, that just made me think of that right now. So,
Before we go into spoilers, I have a question about spoilers in general.
okay.
So I am rattled by the people that were purposely looking up the cameos to this movie before they went and saw that.
Oh,
I don't know.
don't do that.
Yeah, I have no idea why that irritates me to no end. I try to explain to people that, why would you do that? I asked them literally, and I probably look a little crazy about it when I do. I'm like, why would you do that? And they say, okay, I'm gonna call him out. It's Jeremy. Jeremy does that shit, which is
What
crazy.
the?
Yeah, because you would
Mm,
think Jeremy, he never would before. Like, he's getting impatient in his old age or something. But
mm-hmm.
back in the day, he used to be anti-spoiler too. But now he doesn't care. And he was trying to say that it doesn't take away his enjoyment of the movie knowing what's going to happen. I'm like, that cannot be. That cannot be true. Because every time somebody came out in that movie, specifically the scene where they're, Elektra, Blade, Gambit, played by Channing Tatum. When Blade came out, dude, I was cheering. I don't know why I was so happy to see Wesley
Dude,
Snipes as Blade again.
our theater erupted.
Yeah, it was crazy seeing it. Jennifer Garner, that's cool, but Blade,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That was, and people were probably confused about the fact that Channing Tatum was Gambit,
Was
but they
Gambit.
were trying to get that movie made for over a decade, man. They were trying to get the Gambit
Yep.
Channing Tatum movie done forever. And I thought it was hilarious that they brought him in, and he was comic accurate, and I loved it. And
Dude, what did you think of his accent?
that's how he talks. That's Remy
Yeah, I
LeBeau,
know. I get that. And he did great,
Oh, you mean
but
how he played it?
how he played it,
I
how
mean,
his accent came across. Like I've heard a lot of people saying, that wasn't very good. I mean, you're not supposed to understand
right. I think that's
it, you
part of the
know?
joke, is that
Yeah.
he wasn't the best person to play it after all, and he's kind of leaning into the spoof nature of him playing that part, especially someone who's got such a heavy Cajun accent. So I think they were kind of playing up that
Oh,
notion a little bit.
and another thing that was funny to me, like the whole decade, they were trying to get him to play this part,
Hmm.
and it was for a moment there. It was going forward. It was going good, and like it looks like it was going to get made. He was all skinny, Channing Tatum,
Yeah.
and in this movie, like his cheeks were
His
busting out that mask, bro.
that
Like
purple was running thin. Yeah.
I was like, ooh.
Well, I was
I never
telling
seen Remy fat like that.
but I told Jeremy, I was like, Jeremy, you cannot sit there and tell me, like, Blade was 98. Like, Blade came out even before the first X-Men movie. And me and
Yep.
Jeremy watched Blade. We all watched Blade so many times. And Blade 2, Trinity, not so much. I think it's interesting. I thought maybe there was going to be some kind of like connective tissue with Ryan Reynolds from Blade Trinity, because a lot
Trinity.
of
Yep.
people completely forget the fact that he's in Blade Trinity as Hannibal Caine with Wesley Snipes. So I think
And
that,
Jessica Biel.
and Jessica Biel, right? But the fact that Deadpool and him are in a movie together, I'm pretty sure that's how Reynolds worked that deal out. Like, they worked together on Trinity,
Well,
even
I
though.
saw a video with Wesley Snipes
Mhm.
explaining how this all went down. he said him and Ryan Reynolds since then have been in, like, they keep in constant
Oh, good.
contact. He goes, one day he says Ryan Reynolds just sent a text and was like, "Hey, you want to do this?"
Hmm.
And Wesley Snipes was all like, "Uh, if Disney's down and
If
Marvel's
Disney's down,
down."
bitch, you got bills to pay. You better do it. And it's funny because you criticize, you fat shamed Magic Mike, but it was almost like the opposite with Wesley Snipes. Like that bro was looking
Oh
small.
yeah,
He was looking
yeah,
real small, and I thought,
yeah. He
damn.
he need he needed a paycheck to go get some food.
Right? I was like, passenger 57 needs a chicken fried steak or something. But yeah, but seeing it, and I told Jeremy, I was like, dude, there's no way you saw Blade come on that. If you didn't know and you saw Blade, who is one of your favorite superheroes
Hmm.
in any of these movies, Wesley Snipes in particular, there's no way in hell you would not have been erupting in your seat. No way in hell. He's like, no, I wouldn't have cared. I'm like, shut up. So then I
Oh,
stopped
whatever.
arguing with the guy because I'm like, no. But that was probably the biggest reaction of our theater. Oh no, I take it back. I think probably the biggest reaction was Chris Evans coming back. And not for you, not for your theater. What was the
Nope.
biggest reaction for your theater?
Henry Cavill.
Oh shit, that's right. Calverine. Yeah, that was pretty hilarious. Dude, and just
Oh,
Deadpool's searching the multiverses for the perfect Wolverine, and he's going the 5 foot comic book accurate
oh,
Wolverine.
accurate one.
That was hilarious. And they actually did the one thing that I was hoping to see. I was hoping to see the brown and yellow suited Wolverine.
Yeah.
And not only that, but he's fighting the Hulk too. I was like, holy shit, that is incredible. Like, this is such good fan service. And again,
Hmm.
that kind of plays into the notion of what type of movie this is. Like, this is just the greatest hits of things that you've never seen before. And
And you've always wanted
you've
to.
always wanted to. I thought that Daniel Radcliffe was going to show up as Wolverine too, because there was a
I've
lot of
heard
rumor
about that. Yeah.
about him taking over, and I don't know if it was like a joke. But then I'm like, well, size wise, if they're kind of playing, because people don't realize like Wolverine in the comics is like 5 feet tall. He's just
Yeah.
stout, like a freaking truck, man. And but yeah, I think when yeah, Chris Evans showed up, and then Wolf and Deadpool's just like, oh my god, he's gonna say it. He's gonna say it. Avengers, and then he was like, flame on, and then him as Johnny Storm again.
Oh
I was like,
man.
oh my god, that is hilarious. That is so good, and I love that aspect of it. I just love that they can
Hmm.
tie everything into everything, and I thought it would be like Mr. Fantastic at first, but then having him come back was, and I'm sure it was the same situation where it's like, hey, you want a paycheck? Yeah, sure. I'm cool with
Yeah.
Marvel already.
Absolutely.
Like, let's do this. And so that, I mean, we're basically just talking about all the fun parts in the movie, and there's so many of them, and it's funny his poor supporting cast from the previous two films take like such a major
Uh,
backseat to this movie when those
and not even a
characters.
domino.
I
What was
know,
up with
right? Or
that?
Cable, like they didn't show
Yeah.
any of them. I mean, they take mention. He makes a joke about Cable, but Domino was like completely non-existent. And of course, T.J. Miller's character was non-existent, but
Hmm.
that's only because he's an asshole and he didn't. They didn't want him in the movie, and so they're just not even going to acknowledge his existence. But um,
No.
yeah, but the supporting cast of Deadpool, I was like, man, you spent 2 movies kind of developing these supporting characters only for them to be kind of. But then again, that's kind of the problem you're running into here. When you have so many new characters that you want to fuse with this character, this iconic character, that is going to happen. And I'm pretty sure nobody really cared. I mean, at least they're in the movie. Um, I was a little
Yeah.
surprised between him and his relationship with Vanessa, how it just kind of ended. But I
It
get,
fell to the wayside.
yeah.
And like to me, like that was a big part of the story
Well, that's
here.
why he
Like
became Deadpool, essentially. By nature of that, his love for
that
her.
and this movie specifically because they're all in this ship because he used Cable's time hop to go back and save her,
Mhm.
and she's alive now, and they never really even touched on that.
And
I mean, very slightly, but
mhm,
like that's a big deal
yeah,
to bring her back, and that's why you're all in this shit, and that's why you're a fucking car salesman now. But
right. Well,
I don't
the
know.
one thing about the emotional connections that I didn't get from this movie, which I was looking forward to happening but didn't happen, was the fact that X-23 came back. Daphne Keene, who played X-23 in Logan, his
Hmm.
daughter, by genetic laboratory testing, and he acknowledged her as his daughter Patrick, Professor X and Logan says, "That's your daughter, Logan," and all that stuff. And so whenever she shows back up in this film, the final trailer I thought was beautiful. I thought it was so good. That final trailer was kind of a tease because it made it seem like, okay, this movie's gonna have a lot of heart. This movie's not just gonna be a joke. It's gonna have a lot more depth emotionally, and it didn't because there wasn't really that payoff scene between her and Logan. I know that they sit together at the dinner table together and they're like bonding again, but I didn't really get that. I thought she died when they leave them
Yeah.
behind with Nova and her people. I thought they all just died. And then apparently when Deadpool's like, "Oh, we got good people there. Like you can go back and get them if you can." And I was like, "Oh, I guess she's still alive." So that like you're missing these beats where like the line she says, she's like, "You were always the wrong guy until you weren't." Like that shit's good. And I was like, let's follow up on that a little bit,
Yeah.
and they never did. So I was a little disappointed by that. But it was crazy seeing her because she's like an adult woman now. And I'm like, oh my God, she
Right.
was like a little girl. Like it's so weird. But I guess that's what happens. Like people get older in age. But
Duh.
but yeah, I like
Not Deadpool or Wolverine, but
no, of course not. But I thought X-23 was such an important part of that movie and to Wolverine that I thought she would play more of a bigger role in this. But I guess if they
Mhm.
expand the film further with Wolverine, which I hear that they're going to, because I
Ugh.
did like the joke that Ryan Reynolds was like, they're gonna pay you till you're 90,
90.
which is hilarious, because they probably will.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, other
He
than
keeps
that,
making them money like this. Oh yeah.
dude, it's a $1 billion film. I was trying to tell again Jeremy. I wish Jeremy was on here so I wouldn't just rag on him, but I was like, dude, this will be $1 billion grosser easy. And even he was like, yeah, if any of Marvel's recent films will be, it's gonna be this one. And dude,
Oh yeah.
202 opening million. Oh my God, it's gonna
Jeez.
make so much more money. It's still making money. People are going batshit because it has a great rewatchability factor because it has
Oh yeah.
Easter eggs, things that you might have missed the first time that you want to go back
Hmm.
and rewatch it. Like I want to go back and watch it again. And I will say
Not
that
me.
the opening sequence where he's killing people with Wolverine's bones to none only
Oh,
than
it's
InSync's Bye Bye Bye. That's the best usage of that song since our lip sync dance in senior year of 2001, Chris. I was like, you know what, Deadpool, you can have
dude.
it. It's almost as good as our
It's
performance.
it's his now, but I wonder how much NSYNC got paid for that shit. Probably enough money to start their tour
Yeah,
next year.
yeah. It didn't ruin JT's tour after all.
No.
If anything, that just gave it a boost of life.
So and dude, what got me on that one is like, okay, there's a montage of him killing people to this song,
Hmm.
which was really cool.
Hmm.
Like I could get down with that. But the fact that they cut in scenes where he's doing the actual choreography
Yeah,
along with that,
yeah.
like accurate damn choreography from the music video,
Hmm.
I'm like, that was fucking badass.
Yeah.
That was
I wonder
badass.
if that was
Like
Ryan Reynolds. I would think that it
it
would be.
wasn't.
It was
It
okay.
wasn't. I saw again. Some video on X or something. He had a dance stunt
Okay,
double.
I was about to say because he was way too smooth. I was like, that could have been Justin Timberlake in that suit for all we know, man. Because he looked
Yeah,
he moved just like him. But
yeah.
I thought that was pretty funny. There's just so many beats to go on here. I should have wrote more stuff down, but yeah, like with Cassandra Nova again, just a wasted villain. If she's gone, I was like, this super powerful being. Like, how are they going to defeat her? And I'm like, oh, this weird
Hmm.
machine like that. I don't know. That seemed kind of lazy, kind of an easy way out, but that was okay, I guess. But
And then again, she turned semi good towards the end
right.
and was all nice
Oh
again.
yeah, you don't
I'm
like
like,
that. But
let the bad people be bad.
right. Right. They
Um,
can't all be dark side, baby.
yeah. What about the fact that all of the Reynolds family was in the movie, but you didn't know it?
Oh yeah. That was pretty good.
Because there was speculation on who Lady Deadpool
Of
was
course.
forever,
Yeah.
and then everybody was all, "Oh, we'll get the answer when the movie comes out," and then you don't,
Yeah.
uh, unless you watch a
The
shit
end
ton of
credits.
Gossip Girl,
What? or the
And
end
you know that
credits.
voice. Yeah,
Yeah,
or the end
because
credits.
they showed Blake Lively as Lady Deadpool. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, that makes sense. But
But I
everybody,
thought it was cool that kids were teenage Deadpool and
yeah,
baby Pool.
yeah, that was pretty good. And of course, Matthew McConaughey as
Hmm.
Cowboy Pool. That was fun. And then Peter makes his triumphant return. That pimp
Yep.
Peter. But yeah, the whole Deadpool sequence was great when they're just going through all of them, him and Wolverine, and then oh god, what about when Wolverine? I don't know where it was this whole time, but when he puts on his mask to
Oh
fight, I
yeah.
was like, holy shit, that is so good. I really love
And the
that.
fact that it had white eyes
Yeah, yeah, just like
and
it.
not
Yeah,
just his regular eyes. Yeah,
absolutely.
that was nice.
I know
I
we're
don't
gonna
know what
forget
other.
stuff, but
Oh, dude. Okay,
there's so
so
much.
how much? How much? Does the Honda Odyssey go up in sales
Oh,
after this
dude,
movie?
we're gonna
Because it
blow
fucks
up.
so hard,
You know,
bro.
it does. And Honda's probably like, we need a new line right now because they're gonna go.
ASAP.
Yeah, we need a new 2024 Deadpool Honda. Make them all red or yellow. But yeah, that was
Or one of
hilarious.
each. Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, that was good.
Uh, I don't. There's so much in this movie. It's like you said. You almost essentially have to watch it twice or
Mhm.
3 times to get every little thing. I mean, because we didn't even talk about the X-Men that were on Nova's side,
Mhm.
Toad and Psylocke and
Pyro and
Pyro
Juggernaut.
and like
I did like how he said, "Oh, so you're this version of Juggernaut this time," because he said so many. Oh, speaking of music, I loved hearing the Goo Goo Dolls in that movie twice,
oh yeah.
like Iris twice, which I was like, okay, that's great. And I saw on the playlist that they put out on Spotify, like the Greatest Show, like this is the greatest show. And I thought, okay, where are they going to play the Greatest Showman at? And then it was just like one when they're
One
fighting, yeah,
second,
it's like,
yeah, in the Honda
whoa!
Odyssey.
And I was like, that's it. Damn, that sucks. But that was still pretty funny. Skater
I
Boy,
liked that the
just
song that followed up with it though. Like I think that like I would have loved to hear the Greatest Showman while they
while
were
they were
fighting in
fighting.
that
Yeah, see,
Honda.
that's what I thought. Something like that was they were really going to expand it out, but it's just funny to do it that way, I
Yeah,
suppose. But yeah, the music was great. It fit all kinds of every scene. I think utilized the soundtrack very well.
and the soundtrack along with the movie, they were catering towards our generation.
Oh yeah,
90s music,
early
90s
2000s.
throwbacks,
Yeah.
early 2000s. Like it was all like everything that people our age are just like, oh shit, that's it. Oh shit. Oh,
Well,
it's a bunch of those oh shit moments,
yeah, well, people our age are the ones making these movies now, Chris.
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
But man, okay. I think that's it. Anything else you want to touch on it
N-
before we give our final ranking?
no, I'm good. I need to just stop it because I don't know where else to go, and there's just so many more things. But like you said, yeah, just watch it multiple times, and you'll pick up more and more every time.
Mm-hmm. Do we do 1 through 10, 1 through 5?
I don't
I
know.
forget.
I've
We
always
haven't
done a
done one in for some.
5-star rule, but I
Okay.
guess 10 is the standard nowadays, like the IMDb rating.
I've heard 7. I don't know.
7?
Yeah, 7 being the highest.
Oh, I've never heard that one. We should
We'll
do
do
our
5 stars.
own.
That's what we've done.
We should do our own Screen Addicts ranking system here.
1 to 2.
You like it or you don't. I mean,
Yep.
Siskel and Ebert only do thumbs up or thumbs down. I was like, how is there no in between there? That's always bugged me. I said, how do you not have like kind of a marginally based ranking for a movie that is a little bit mediocre but not that bad? I just thought that was always interesting. Let's do Screen Addict 6. The Screen 6.
Okay. Screen 6. Okay. With 6 being the best.
Sure.
Okay. I'll go with 6 being the best. I'm gonna give it a solid 3 for me.
Okay. I will give it a 4.5.
I think your half will come on your rewatches.
Yeah, probably. So I'll stick with 4.5 then.
I think your half will come on rewatches because you will probably catch a little bit more stuff that you didn't on the first watch.
Yeah.
Which will kind of push it, you know?
I would give it a 5, possibly a 6. It's 6 in terms of fun, but when I'm factoring in the plot, everything, the fun, the enjoyment, the nostalgia, the story, yeah, 4.5 I think is pretty good. Pretty good for it.
Yeah. Okay.
Screen
I'm
Addicts
sticking with my 3.
sounds good.
Fuck that shit. I love Suicide Squad better.
It's a 6 all the way.
That's right. That damn starfish had my heart. All right, guys. Thank you again for joining the Screen Addicts on another episode. Wherever you're listening to us, whether it's Spotify, iHeart, Apple Music, Apple Podcast, just hit that subscribe button so you know exactly when we drop new episodes, which are weekly. And since you're here already as well, go ahead and leave us a review if you can, please. 5 stars would be wonderful. That just helps us get seen a little bit more around those search engines in the podcast world. Also, around the social media world, if you're on Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, wherever the may be, just look up the Screen Addicts podcast and look for our cover art. That is sure to be us. And then go ahead and look up Cinema Steve as well on Instagram or TikTok. Steve does some really awesome movie reviews, little shorts. Just gives you an overview and what he thinks about the new releases that are coming out and some old ones too as well, right?
Oh yeah, do some retro reviews, new ones, especially like anniversary movies. Like I'll dabble back into the classics.
Nice. So, just little 1-2 minute reviews. Just if you're on the fence of whether you should go watch Long Legs or not, go check out what Steven has to say. It may sway your decision one way or the other. If you want to get a hold of us as well, you can always email us at screenaddictspodcast@gmail.com. If you have any questions or anything, complaints, all that stuff, shoot us an email. We'd love to answer any of your questions. Also, do not forget, Steven has an amazing podcast out called Real Problems, where he does a deep dive into the behind the scenes of some of your favorite movies and some of the complications that they have, some of the weird things that have happened on set. So if you are into that and want to know more about some of your favorites, Steven has that podcast going. Super good show. He's my one of my best friends, and I still listen to that show every time it drops. As soon as it drops, I'm listening to it. So definitely go give that one a listen if you haven't yet. Other than that, man, I think that does it for this week. Oh, I want to kind of tease next week's
week,
episode.
Yeah.
Next week's episode, I am having a special guest on, a friend of mine. Her name is Jody Reynolds. She is a super fan of all things Games of Thrones and House of Dragons. So we're going to be doing a deep dive and season review of House of Dragons season 2. I was going to talk about that. That's what my recently watched, but I'm just going to save it. I'm going to save it till next week, and we can talk all things Targaryen.
Well, to prepare you, Chris, it's House of the Dragon, because I don't want her.
House of
we have to act like we know
Dragon.
what we're talking about in Westeros here, pal. Okay.
You're right. I'm sorry.
Because I guess I saw a comment she had made about a post about House of the Dragon. I was like, oh shit. And then I remembered you said that she was coming on. I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna have to take notes on the finale and stuff. But yeah, that was another reason why I didn't mention catching up with those. But yeah,
You're gonna have to get your little finger on, bruh.
Can't wait.
But that will be next week. So if you haven't subscribed, you want to listen to our recap of House of the Dragon next week, make sure you're subscribed so you know when that one drops. But other than that, Steve, you got anything else?
No, sir, that is it. You said it all.
All right, guys. Thank you again, and good night.
Adios, amigos.